Hello, everybody. Welcome to our first episode of Serger Sunday. It's going to be a fun day. Woohoo! Now then, I'm still adjusting my computer screens because I am not sitting where I normally sit here in the studio. There we go. There we go. Wunderbar. Alrighty. Feel free to, I'll be keeping my eye on the chat window throughout this. And actually, what I decided to do today, I'm going to make a jelly roll quilt top for beginning to end. And it's been a while since I've done this one on camera. I'm just wanting to, since I'm still recovering from COVID, I'm trying to do something that doesn't tax my brain too hard. And that's what I decided to do. It's going to be fun. So it takes one jelly roll of fabric, okay, which is approximately 42.5-inch strips. Here is what I've got. Here, let me move the window here. There we go. Okay. Where did you go? Where did my window go? Okay. There you are, right there. Alrighty. Hi, Linda. Oh, from Eastern New Mexico. I love New Mexico. It's beautiful out there. But like I said, here is what I am. Linda, yeah, Linda Malou, I am no longer with Baby Lock. I am with Bernina. Yes, I made that change. Oh my goodness. I left Baby Lock on December 1st, last December 1st, and I went to Bernina in January. Hi, Linda K. Are you getting any rain yet from Debbie? Hi, Linda Rains. We have a bunch of Lindas in here today. Oh my goodness, that's awesome. Oh, hot. Ooh, 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 ooh. Yes, it is warm. Well, is here. I'm sure your temperature out in New Mexico is hotter, but we've got 90 plus degree weather here as well. And I'm inside the studio with the AC, the central air, and all that. Thank goodness that's running and all that fun stuff. But we're going to get started. Oh, Linda, it's all about life is about change. And I have to tell you, this here is what I'm sewing on right now. This is the L890 Bernina Serger. And those of you that know me, you know I'm a serger person. I love this serger. This serger is honestly one of the reasons, there's many reasons I left Baby Lock, but this serger is one of the reasons I left Baby Lock and came to Bernina. I love it that much. I'm gonna swap to another camera and I'll go over some of the features of this machine. And then I am going to make a jelly roll quilt top live on camera. I'm just going to show you real quick. Here are my 42.5-inch strips. Okay. There we go. There's my strips. And then what I'm going to do on this one, I've cut 2.5-inch squares. These little cornerstones are going to go between each one of the strips as I'm sewing it. Ooh, 104. Oh my goodness. That's warm. But let me tell you about the L890 before I get started. Let me change my camera. But here it is. And yes, it has a touch screen like it's very similar to all the Bernina sewing machines. Their touch screen is. I currently have it set for a 2-thread chain stitch. That's what I'm going to piece with. I'm going to do a 1/4-inch seam. This stitch will actually make, excuse me, will actually make a straight stitch on top and a chain stitch on the bottom. That tiny chain stitch really makes it makes a very strong seam. So I do, well, like I said, I had that set up. Now, to change everything, you don't need a book to thread it. You don't need a book. You don't need a threading chart or anything like that. This machine tells you step by step what to do to set up a stitch. For instance, this one, I'm going to go into guided mode. And I've already got it set up so it says here, these are all the steps, step by step. Lift presser foot and scroll to the next step. So I'll do that. No unthreading required, but if I had it set up for, say, a 4-thread overlock, it would then say unthread all of those pathways. Attach a presser foot. Excuse me. Adjust presser foot pressure. Now, notice a little camera beside each one of those steps. If I don't know how to do that, I can just touch that, and guess what? There's a video that shows me how to do that step by step by step. I love this machine. Then it's telling me what position for the needles, right there. So I've got it in the center needle position. Deactivate the knife. A video would show you how to do that. Adjust the cutting width. Attach cover stitch insert, which that's what this little table here is. And so watch how it shows you just how to do that. And yes, the Bernina Serger comes with a thread catching bin. Okay. Go to the next step. Tells you what position to have it either in O or R. You don't need a rolled hem, so that's R. And that lever is right here. If I open this up, and it is air threading. So right there, back this way is for rolled hem, forward is for just regular sewing. Another thing I like about this, look where all your tools are. It's right in the door of the machine, including extra needles. And what these are foam pads. When you're changing needles, you have a place to stick your needle as you take them out. Pretty cool. Love that. And then finally, it is showing me how to thread, where I have to thread at. The yellow, and the pads are color coded. The needle is yellow. The chain, the cover stitch looper is purple. So to thread the needle, watch the video. It is showing you how to thread it. Right on screen. Easy peasy. You can have zero serging experience and thread this serger correctly on the first try. It is so awesome. And everybody, it's quiet. You're going to see how quiet it is here in just a moment. I've taught classes, a classroom full of people with these machines, and I don't have to overtalk a machine. Love. This is my love. I love this serger. I still have my Triumph and my Euphoria and my Evolution. And to be perfectly honest, since I purchased this machine last November, I haven't touched them since then. I'm going to end up selling my Baby Lock sergers because this is the only one that I want to use, to be perfectly honest. I love it. Anyway, let's put the camera over here. Okay. Get this set up. There we go. Okay, so what I have on, let me just show you how I have this threaded here. I'm using the cover stitch foot. It's a narrow foot, and with the needle in the center position, the edge of the foot acts as a 1/4 inch guide. So easy to do. So I'll have perfect 1/4 inch seams. Yes, Linda, oh, and check this out. On the screen, you see that, let me get my stylus. I like, see that little icon right here? That's needle up or down. So yes, you can have it stop, just like on a sewing machine, with your needles up or your needles down. Love that feature. I have begged for that feature for years. Love it. Absolutely love it. Okay. Don't get me wrong, Baby Lock makes a good serger and all that, but this serger has the features I've always wanted. The extension table comes with it. Check it out. And Bernina sergers have a free arm. So if you're into garment making, this is so very, very, very important. Or if you're just going to do a hem, this free arm really makes it easy to hem pant legs. Excuse me. Okay. Now I'm going to attach my thread catcher. Even though I won't be using the knife for this stitch, when I need to trim, I have a handy place right there. So there's that. Love that too. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I have my stack of 2.5 inch strips. Excuse me. And here's a stack. These have little orange gold butterflies on them. These are 2.5 inch squares that I cut. Oops, there we go. I'm going to just pull the strips right off the top of this stack. Okay. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to take one strip. I'm going to cut it in half. Okay, that will offset the seams, is what that does. And you'll see as we go through this. Okay, I'm going to set that strip aside. That is now goes into my scrap pile. And now I have this. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm also going to cut selvages off of each end as I go. And I'm going to add a square. The first step is the longest step. Okay. Right there. Now, I personally like to use a starter cloth when I'm piecing. And here's the stitch. I have it set up for a 2mm stitch. It's this gray thread here. And there's the back of it. It's a lightweight chain. I'm using Serger thread, polyester Serger thread. Linda, it comes with, let's see, it came with 2 feet. Let me make sure I'm saying that correct. Yes, it comes with this foot and an overlock foot. And there's other feet that you can purchase separately as you need them. It comes with 2 feet. And now I'm just going to, oops, just dropped my little square. Yep, I'll find it a little later. I'll just grab another one. There we go. We're going to sew those two together, and I'm going to chain piece everybody. I'm not going to cut my threads in between. Now I do have the knee lift control on, so I can raise and lower my presser foot without ever moving my hands. Okay. Now I'm going to set it for needle down. Notice there the needle came up. So what I did, I just pressed the needle down icon. Now watch when I press my foot control once. The needle stays down. Woohoo! Okay. And now we're going to do that to the next one as well. I'm going to take the next strip and I'm going to cut off the selvages. There we go. We're going to do another one. Okay. I'm just going to show you that first seam there. Check it out. There's my 1/4 inch seam. There's the back side of it. When I pull that open, it is strong. Very strong seam. Okay. Now then, what I want to do, let me figure out the math here on this one. I'm going to sew this one to the other end. Of that second strip. You know, that'll just get me confused, so I don't want to do that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to attach all my 2-inch, my squares to each one of these strips before I start sewing the strips together. You can do these just at directly strip to strip, and you can do that in one step. But these little squares really give it a cool appearance. Okay, move my coffee cup out of the way because I know what'll happen if I don't. Here we go. Okay, we're just moving right along here. Feel free to ask questions while I'm sewing. I am keeping my eye on the chat window. Step one is sewing all the 2.5 inch squares onto the end of each one of these strips. That is step one. This quilt top will measure approximately 54 by 64 inches. Nice throw size. And on this jelly roll, there were 10 different fabrics, 4 strips of each fabric is what this one turned out to be. Yes, Linda. If I have the overlock knife cover on, it has this really cool. Here it is, right here. Check this out. If I'm doing like a 4-thread, 3-thread, 2-thread overlock stitch, this attaches right here. Okay. And what that looks like, here's a seam gauge. You can adjust it and slide it left to right. And then when you have it set, you butt your fabric up against, there we go, this little fence right here. And it's super easy to do very accurate seams on the overlock side. I could attach a guide here to this. I just haven't done that because with this foot, I really don't need it, but totally. And I will tell you, it's very accurate. Berninas have always been known for stitch quality, and it holds true on the Serger as well. Beautiful quality stitches. The other thing I really like about it, you have total stitch control, which means I can adjust the tension if I needed to. See all these, you can have up to 5 different threads on it. So this chain looper tension, the default is 1.5. If I touch that, I can go in there and change that thread tension. Now, using regular, for the most part, you never have to change the thread tension, okay? The only time I ever have to play with the thread tension is if I'm using a heavy decorative thread, for instance, like this Wonderfill thread. I might have to loosen the thread tension a little bit. Oh, wonderful, Linda. I have to show you something. I'm going to do this next Saturday on the 990. I have Saturday and Sunday live scheduled for the rest of this month, everybody. But I picked this up. This is in the hoop, and this is by Riley Blake. It's Little Red Riding Hood with the Big Bad Wolf, Grandma, and a friend. And these are actually dolls that you create the pieces in the embroidery hoop with. Check it out. Look at the little aprons. The little aprons have embroidery on them. Isn't that cool? And all the faces have embroidery on them. That's how the faces, the eyes are put on. And then even on the wolf's paw, has a little paw embroidered on the end of that. Isn't that cool? I'm going to be working on this project next Saturday on the Bernina 990. Okay. I purchased that when I was in Florida last month at Flash Sew and Quilt in Sarasota. They have a store in Sarasota, Florida, and in Naples. But that's where I ran across that at. And had to have it because I just thought it was cool. Yeah, I think you can make the dolls in two different sizes. I think you can make them in 12 inch and 18 inch, I think. Haven't even opened the package yet to read the instructions, but I'm pretty sure I read that on the outside of it. I will say one thing, this jelly roll was pinked. The edges of it was cut pinks. It is shedding shedding little thread dust all over me. My shirt is covered in lint. But that's okay. That's what the sticky roller lint brushes are for. Well, Linda, if you call Flash Sew and Quilt store in Naples, Florida, they do shipping. I know they'll ship it. Tell them Richard sent you that you saw me talking about it online. If you called them tomorrow, you could probably have it in time to sew along with me next Sunday. Next Saturday, I mean. Wasn't a very square cut. Let me try that again. There we go. That's better. And your local, if you have a local quilt shop, those of you that are watching, always check with your local shop for stuff that I'm talking about on here, because quite simply, that's how those businesses stay open and in business. So whenever possible, shop local. You can't always do it, I know. But when possible, support your local quilt shop. Okay. Got all these strips in my lap. What you doing, puppy? Huh? What you doing, Bobo? My little dog just woke up from his nap. Okay. Woohoo. Oh goodness, Linda, that's that's a pretty good distance. I understand why you have to buy online for sure. Okay. These pretty, it's like purple and gold flowers and little blue flowers in that one. Oh gosh, Linda, yeah, he always wants something like that. I don't want to say that word where he can hear me. But yes, he's very, very much food motivated. He only weighs 7 pounds. I have a little Yorkie, but my goodness, the way he acts, you'd think we never fed him. Did you decide to come back? He went and got him a drink of water. He's coming back to his little couch. You're my good boy. Yes, you are, Bobo. Who's a good puffin. Yeah. So everybody, here's my little dog. Here we go. There's his little couch. He's on his little couch just staring at me, watching me sew. He's got to be in here to supervise the process. You think I'm kidding, but I'm not. Oh, I know, Linda. Absolutely. They know how to, if you spell it enough, they remember it. That's for sure. And mine loves to watch TV. He knows different shows because he can just hear the intro music to one that he likes and he gets all excited. Other ones, yeah, he pays no attention to. He loves to watch Young Sheldon. More specifically, the cow that's at the beginning of each show when they're doing the intro into it. He wants that cow. He wants to get a hold of it. Yeah, I'm getting closer to the end of that stack of strips. Woohoo! And I'll square that and get that very square. Just trim a little edge of that off. There we go. That's better. Now I'm not going to cut these apart because I want to make sure I group all the strips that are just alike as together. No, I haven't moved the microphone at all. The machine is that quiet, quite honestly. Lynn, what serger do you have? For oiling your serger, you need to follow your manufacturer's instructions. Excuse me. Some tell you to oil them, others don't. On the Bernina serger, like the L890 I'm on, there's one spot to oil it. And you should, on a Bernina serger, you put a drop of oil in the L890 Lin, yes, and if it's been setting for 9 months, you should oil it for sure. And let me get through this step, and I will show you where to put the drop of oil at. But if you go into the menu on the L890, it will actually show you where to drop it at. We'll do that here in just a moment. I'll show you how to get to that video. Let's just do that right now. Let me grab my camera for this machine. Okay. So I'm going to go to Home. And right here, little gears, I'm going to touch that. And let's see here. Machine. Is it there? No. Let me think here. Where is that? Here we go. It was under this one here, the open book. Oops. Go back you. Lubricating the machine. Right there is where it shows you where to put one drop of oil at. Right there. And that is, what that is the bar that the upper looper sits on. One drop of oil right there. Clean it thoroughly before lubricating. That's how easy that one is to do. But yes, if it's been setting for 9 months, I would totally make sure I oil it before I run it. Just never mistake. Here's one thing you never want to do with any serger. If it is an air threading serger, never, ever, ever put a drop of oil in those threading tubes. That will be a very costly mistake for you. Don't ever, ever do that. Okay. Then all I did to get back to my screen where I was sewing, I just touched the home button and it, right, like I never left that page. So. I make a lot of stuff on my serger. I piece my quilt tops on it. Check it out, everybody. There's only one needle. Okay, let me show you this real quick. To piece, there's my needle thread. And right over here is my looper thread. This cone is my bobbin. I never ever have to wind or change a bobbin when I am piecing a quilt top. Oh, you're welcome, Lynn, and you're so very welcome. That is another reason why I love this serger so much. Anything you want to do, there are help screens. It'll show you how to do everything you need to do with it. I mean, it's just amazing. And I'm going to show you another feature here in just a second. Okay. I mean, people have asked me, I have a lot of machines, everybody. If you've watched me in the past, you know that. But I had someone ask me if I had to get rid of all of my machines except for one, which one would I keep and why? And I can tell you in all honesty, that's an easy question for me to answer. Because I would keep my serger. Because it will do it will do everything that a sewing machine will do except to make a buttonhole. Okay? You can applique on a serger. Garments, I mean, literally, you can do virtually any type of project you want to on a serger except for making buttonholes. Now, do I want to get rid of all my other machines? Good Lord, no. I love to sew. Always have. Always will. You know, and I will say this. The Bernina sewing machines, they have those giant bobbins. I don't mind winding bobbins to sew on a Bernina. But those smaller bobbins, goodness no. Okay. I think I have 4 more strips to go after this one, everybody. And then we can do step 2. Lynn, I agree with you on that. I mean, I've used owned a lot of sergers in my lifetime. Until this came out, Baby Lock was the only way I would go for a serger. But I'm just being honest in my personal feelings. I feel this Serger outperforms the Triumph simply because of this. It has the high-end features on it that the Triumph doesn't. I think it's easier to thread. It has straight threading paths where on the other brands of sergers you have to move an upper looper thread over to a needle thread to adjust tension. You don't have to do that on a Bernina serger. It's very straightforward. But in all honesty, it's really what makes you happy inside is what's important when you're picking out a machine for yourself. Whatever machine that might be, try them all before you make a big purchase and pick the one that feels the best to you and your sewing style and what you like to make. That's really what it all boils down to. And Lynn, I have a 790 Pro sitting in my studio here as well. Oh, Allison, I agree with you on that. It is complicated, but you can technically do a buttonhole on a serger, but it's just not as easy as to do on a sewing machine. But you can technically do one on a serger. You're 100% absolutely correct. Woohoo, that was all of the strips. Now I'm going to show you one more feature on this machine. Let's come back here to the front. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my home screen. And you see the little icon that looks like a dress form? That's called Creative Consultant. Let's touch that. Now what all of these are different types of fabric. So I'm going to touch my question mark. There's a question mark right there. And now I can touch an icon and it'll tell me exactly what that is for. That first one is for light fabrics, lightweight silk, cotton batiste, fine linen fabrics, so forth and so on. Cotton quilting fabric, which is what I'm doing now, is this middle one right here. So let's just touch that. And then it'll show some different techniques. Okay. If I know which one of those I'm going to do, let's say I am going to do this. It gives a needle recommendation. Also, it gives a suggestion on the type of thread and the foot. So there's another help menu to help you select the correct settings for your machine for whatever project you happen to be working on. Let's see, to get out of that and get back to where I was, that's my 2-thread chain stitch, center needle position stitch. Okay. Okay, so now I am going to chain off a little bit. Cut it. And now I'm just going to take this down into the floor beside me on my on my left side and just let it make a pile down there. This will keep them in order, everybody. If I cut each one apart right now, what will happen? They'll get out of order. And then I'll have to hunt for them because I want them to stay in order as I'm sewing on them. Okay. So just so you can see the mess that I just made, there it is in the floor beside me. Okay. Here was my very first piece where I cut the strip in half. Right here. And I'm going to sew the next strip of the same color onto this square. So I'm just going to put that under my foot and let it hold it in place there. And here is where I will cut them apart. Just turn over towards me right here. I'll cut one apart, one off, and then I'm going to sew this edge, this end, to the black. Right here. Like this. Right there. And now I'm going to sew that together. Okay. Now my short one can go to the back. That's the beginning. And now, here's my next edge. I'm going to sew another strip to. Easy peasy. Just raise that up a little bit. There we go. And what I will end up with when I finish this step is one very long 2.5 inch strip of fabric that's been pieced together. Basically, it'll measure approximately 1,800 inches. Sometimes this method of piecing a quilt top is called the 1800 quilt, and that refers to the approximate length of all these strips once they are sewn together. Hi, Bernadette. Oh, you're fine, Bernadette. I'm on here for a while yet. I'm completely piecing one quilt top live today on my serger. Okay, I'm just going to keep moving right on down the row, getting all these strips sewn together. Try to get a better view of this. Wait a minute, something's not right here. Did I mess up? No, I guess not. Wait a minute here. There's that. Oh, there it is. Didn't see the black square. That's what I was looking for. Okay, now we're good. I thought for a second, oh, did I miss a strip sewing a square onto it? But no, it was hiding. It was hiding. Mike is in the kitchen making minestrone soup. I think is what he was going to make today. Oh my goodness, Bernadette. I feel better. I know I've had broken bones before as well. It's not fun. My next trip to Michigan, unless something comes up between now and then, is in November to go to Novi to the Sewing Expo there. Yeah, this first step here, getting it into one continuous length, takes the longest. It really starts going very fast once you get those steps completed. And everybody, on a serger, yes, you can use other thread other than serger thread. If you want to piece with cotton piecing thread like Aurifil, you can put Aurifil in it. You can put any thread in a serger that you can in your sewing machine. Just so you know that. Oh, thank you, Bernadette. This is the last jelly roll of this I had in my shop. It's now, of course, out of print fabric. All of these fabrics are beautiful jewel tones, something I always love in fabric. Guess I should have worn my sewing apron. Excuse me. Maybe on the next episode. It helps keeps all the lint and stuff off of your clothes. Lynn, I am using the 2-thread chain stitch. That is the thread I'm using for piecing. It actually looks just like a straight stitch on your sewing machine. Let's see here. Let's see if you can see it there. There it is. There's the straight stitching on the serger. And I'm using my knee lift. On Bernina's, it's called the freehand, the FHS system, freehand system. And it's really nice to not have to reach to the back of the machine to raise your presser foot up and down. I also have it set for the needle to stop in the down position. About halfway through this set of strips. Woohoo! Then the fun begins. While doing this little extra step of sewing in squares to the end of each one, you'll see once it gets down up there what a very nice effect that makes. Yes, Lynn, just one needle and the chain looper. I'm using the center needle, CC needle, on the cover stitch side of the machine, and then the purple threading path for the chain looper. Let me just go over that right here. So as you can see, the needle is the center position here, CC, right here. And then over here is my purple threading path for my chain looper right here on the end. Okay. And just so you know, so you can see this, right here is the edge of my foot. That's my chain cover stitch foot that comes with the machine. You can see I have the edge of the fabrics right under the edge of that foot. That is giving me an approximately a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Goodness, Bernadette, bless your heart. You take care of that leg, though. Don't try to rush it. You don't want to have setback. And I'm piecing with a gray thread. I like to piece with gray thread. Unless I'm really using pure white fabric, then of course you want to use white because anything else will show through. Okay. 1, 2. Yep, that is correct. Okay. Right. Making sure I have the right amount of strips sewn together here. 1, 2, that's 3. There should be 4. I've dropped 1. There it is. It was trying to hide on me. Ooh, I'm seeing that I'm getting close to the end of this long strand of strips, everybody. I think I have about 8 more to go. Woohoo! And listen, everybody, that chain stitch is very strong, and that's why there is no need to have to back stitch or secure the end of a seam when you use that stitch to sew with. It's just a very secure, strong stitch. It's easy to rip out if you need to, but a lot of people use it as a basting stitch because it's so easy. Once you get one of the threads started, you can pull it all out in one piece. Okay. Getting on, getting on. Woohoo. Let's see here. Where am I at? There. There's the end I'm on. Okay. No, the fabric actually came from a manufacturer in Tennessee called Choice Fabrics. It was one of their one of their lines of fabric. Okay, 7 more strips. 7 more strips. And step 2 will be done. Believe it or not, almost to the halfway mark. Once I get step 3 done, the piecing will be halfway done for this quilt top, believe it or not. Oh, I do too, Lynn. Getting ready to cut out some garment patterns for myself. I have it in my queue. Woohoo, everybody, 3 more strips for this step to be completed. And here's the last strip. Oh my goodness. Just chain that off. Okay, that one is done. Now I'm going to show you how I set it up for this next step. I'm going to move the camera a little bit here. There we go. So here is the end of the strip that I just sewed on. I'm going to take this and put it face up under the presser foot so this will hold it in place. Then, let's see here. What I'm going to do, as I pull these strips off in order, I'm going to cut them apart. So this is the one that's under the presser foot. I'm going to take that and I'm going to let it come down to my right side and go into the floor. Okay. That will basically keep them in order. Well, it will keep them in order. I'm going to do this till I get to the end of this long strip I just got made. Easy peasy, just take your time if you're going to make one of these. Because what we're going to do, we're going to take both ends and line them up, and we're going to sew the long sides together. So since this is approximately 1,800 inches, once I get the next step done, I'll just have 900 inches. Then when I do the next step, I'll have 450 inches. And once I get it down to where there is 32 strips, rows of strips, the quilt top is done. You'll see. You'll see. And I understand if you can't set through this whole process. Once I'm done with it, this will go on my list to edit it down into a much shorter video. There we go. Now we'll have this next end right here. And we're just going to put those on top of each other, right sides together. And notice no seam lines will match up on this. Okay, that's what we want. And then we're going to feed all of this through the serger. 1/4 inch seam. Woohoo, here we go. I'm just going to keep my raw edges together as I'm going. Okay. Now I have my machine speed turned down. Let's see here. Let's had it at 800. There is 1350. That's its highest speed. And yes, once I am done with this quilt top, I will oil my machine before I move on to the next one. Because it's basically just like a sewing machine. You should put a drop of oil on this machine every 6 to 8 hours of sewing. Where are my glasses at? Where did I put those off at? Oh, I don't see them. Just a minute, everybody. I'm going to get my glasses here. There they are. Okay. Okay. And I'm going to give me a sip of my coffee. Right here. Look at the pretty, I went to Bernina for training. Look at the pretty coffee cup I got at Bernina headquarters. Isn't that cool? It's a cave, it's all like a cave fabric design on it. Okay. Now, I was told, and we're going to try this real quick, everyone. I picked up this sewing machine foot when I was up at Bernina, the 97D piecing foot. Now, I can't, of course, I cannot put the foot on this machine, but someone told me, I don't remember who said it. I just want you to check this out. We're going to see. with this foot, it comes this little seam guide here. See here? Someone told me this would fit on this serger, so let's just check it out and see. Oh by gosh, I do believe it will. That screw doesn't feel like it's fitting. Hold on. Okay, the screw that comes with the foot does not fit it. However, let me see here. I believe one of these will. This came with these screws came with a Bernina attachment to fit on to this bed here. And I bet it will fit. Yep. Yep. There we go. And now, what I'm doing, I'm using this seam guide from the 97D piecing foot for the Bernina sewing machines as a seam guide for my serger. Check this out. It does work. Woohoo. Look at that. See there? And now I have a nice fence guide to run the edge of my fabric on with my serger. How about that? Isn't that cool? Okay. Let me put my goodies up for this. Okay. And now we're going to use that seam guide, and that should make it go even a little bit quicker. Oh, yes. So much better. Oh my gosh. Much easier to get that lined up as it goes through. Boy, howdy. There we go. Get some more pulled off of the stack. Sometimes I do like to piece also using a 2 or 3 thread overlock, simply because if I'm wanting to use the cutting blade, I can do that on the overlock side. But that sure makes that step go a whole lot quicker. Well, Linda, they do make a metal seam guide ruler for the Triumph, just so you know. But as long as you have a screw that will fit into the bed of your serger, you can add this a little guide like that to anything as long as it lines up. Look how easy that makes it to. I mean, I'm not watching the one thing you don't want to do when you're doing what I'm doing right now. Do not watch the needles. Watch the edge of your foot to hit your mark. If you watch that needle, you're going to be all over the place. I am watching right here at the front edge of my seam guide. That's where I'm focusing my eyesight on. Here we go. Woohoo. So, Bernadette, oh, no, not Bernadette, hold on. Yes, Bernadette. The Celebrate is a 4-thread serger. So this I'm using actually the cover stitch side of the machine. So this little attachment would not fit on a Celebrate serger, just so you know that. Just working out the twist as it comes up to the machine. And don't worry, I've seen people when they do these, they'll take their time to make sure everything is lined up before they start stitching on the serger. That takes a lot of time. And if you just straighten it as you go, if there's a twist or knot in the end, in the very end when we get there, it'll be easy to fix, and I'm sure I'll have one. And I'll show you how to fix that. It will save you a lot of time. is moving right along. This is actually step 3. Once this step is done, believe it or not, half of your seam lines are complete for this quilt top. Okay, Bernadette, I will check those out. Linda, do you know which fabric company those are in? Northcott. I will look that up after this episode's over today. Bernadette. I see the end coming up soon. Woohoo! I really see the end of it coming up soon. I like Northcott fabrics for today. I really do like Northcott. It has some good, nice prints. Yeah, this is going to have a good twist on the very end of it, so that'll be good. I can show you how to fix that. It's not the end of the world. So check it out here. Okay, so here's my strips. And right here where my thumb is at is the very end. So I'm just going to hold it there. There's a loop. I'm going to take my scissors and cut. Okay. Now they'll straighten out nice and flat. And then I'll just have to trim the ends off even. And check it out, here it is. All I have to do now is just line these two up, and I'm just going to do a square cut right across both ends. Now I got a perfectly matched piece. There we go. Now, once again, here's an end, so I'm going to open it up. Usually in the very beginning is where you get twists like that. I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to lay it underneath my foot to hold it in place. Now, as I come down, I'm going to make sure I hold on to this side of the strips that are sewn together on the right. And I just want to make sure I keep a hold of that as I work my way down. As I work my way down, it's going to go back into the floor like before. I want to make sure I hold on to that right edge, and then it's easy to line up, and I should not have a twist in it once I get to the end. Now each time I pass this all the way through, I'm reducing the length by 50%. So right now I started with basically 1800 inches. Now my strip set is 900 inches. I do this next step, it'll be 450 inches. Then the next one would be 225. After that, it'd be 112. Then after that, there's one more, which is approximately 54 inches. Easy peasy. almost to the other end. There it is. Woohoo. Now I've got that right side. So right here, I want to take it and go with it. And I'm going to put it face down on top of the other two. I should not, technically I should not have a twist on the end like I did on the first round. We'll see. And now I'm just going to sew those long sides together. So that is basically now the whole thing. Just repeat the process until you get, this will be 4 strips sewn side by side. Once there are 32 strips side by side, your quilt top is done. And once you get it to where there's 4 strips across, it's much easier to line everything up. And I'm about to run out of needle thread. Yay! The Serger thread I'm using right now is called Serger. It's made by Mettler. It's a very good thread. I really like that thread. Just ran out of my Serger thread. Woohoo! It's all good. Out of my needle thread is what I'm actually out of. Here we go. Okay. Now I'm just going to add, some more thread for the needle. Raise that presser foot. It releases the tension on all the dials. And it's rethreaded. Easy peasy. I like to remember to put my little tools back into their door each time. That way I don't misplace them. Yeah, I'm really bad about that. Let's see here. Start it back up right here. And we're ready to go. I just started like an inch above where my thread ran out. That gets everything nice and secure. Now I am using a stitch length of 2 millimeters. In case you're ever wondering when you're on a machine, this is like stitch length 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those are actually millimeters, everybody. And 1.8 to 2 is a good stitch length for piecing. On the serger, 2 is the smallest you need to do. On a sewing machine, yeah, I usually use 1.8 for my stitch length. Okay, Linda K, thank you so much. We'll see you soon. Have a wonderful rest of your Sunday. And stay safe with that hurricane headed towards you. Alrighty. Just moving right along. These are so fun to make, especially on a serger. Woohoo! Isn't it kind of cool when you get in the zone and you're sewing and you see progress being made? That's a lot of the fun when it comes to doing this stuff. And look, everybody, no twist. Check it out. No twist. Woohoo! Now I just have to cut this. I could take this to the cutting mat, and I do have a small one here. What you could do is use a rotary cutter and a ruler to cut that, or make sure it's a nice finger press that nice and tight, and check it out. I'm going to cut it up to my stitching line. Right there like that. Then when I open it up, woohoo, straight edge. Now, once again, just like on the previous one, I'm going to be very careful. I'm going to open this up, put it under my presser foot, and I'm going to follow this side of the fabric and just open it up as I go and put it back down into the floor to set it up for my next round. That is how you prevent having a twist in your fabric, in your strips. Almost there. And there we go. Now we're going to line up those edges and do repeat, and rinse all the way till we get our 32 strips across. This step makes it 8 strips across. And then guess what? After this run, there's only 2 more runs and it will be done. That's correct, Bernadette. You are correct. Okay. There we go. No, Bernadette, I don't. That was just a random effect. When you get a jelly roll of fabric, you want to open it up and lay it flat, and then just pull strips off the top. That way, it's all nice and random that way. The key is to have, like if a large jelly roll has 3 strips of each fabric, you want to make sure that they're all 3 going through one after another. I like just pulling the strips off of the roll as they come off when you purchase them. That way, it's all up to serendipity the way it's going to look, and I really like that. No, I'll have to check that out, Bernadette. I've never got any strips from them. Sometimes I will actually cut my own jelly rolls. Have all those Quilt strip cutters to do that with. It makes it easy. Oh, nice, Bernadette. Almost to the end of this run. Okay, then, once again, I'm just going to finger press that. Allison, I don't do that with a jelly roll. Specifically because a jelly roll, all the fabric in that jelly roll will have the same shrink rate. So no, I've never done that. I guess a person could if they wanted to. I personally don't do that. Great question. Alrighty. And there's where we're at. See how those little squares look set in there? It just really breaks it up nice. Okay. Let's get that under our presser foot to hold it in place. And once again, I'm going to go down, follow this edge of the fabric all the way down. Okay. You're getting into my thread, Quilt. I had some decorative serger thread on my table here. But it takes up a little bit more room for this quilt top. There we go. Now run nice and smooth. Okay. Well, Linda Rains, that an AccuQuilt cutter would be perfect for you then. That really makes, with any type of arthritis, like especially like what you have, that's what those were really designed for. And if you have any type of shoulder or wrist pain or anything like that, it can be difficult to use a rotary cutter. Highly recommend using AccuQuilt. Okay, let's line these edges up and we'll do the next round. Okay, let's get it all straightened up here. Now we are putting, once I get this step done, I'll have 16 strips across, which means there's only one run left after this. What I'm doing here, I'm just making sure where I set in those squares, the seam lines are going the same way on this side of the seam as they were over here. If you see me fidgeting with that, that's what I'm doing. And Allison, if I'm going to be cutting a lot of pieces, small, intricate pieces out for a quilt top, I will not pre-wash the fabric, generally speaking, but I will steam iron it to sort of pre-shrink it if need be. Or if I mix it, especially if it's a bunch of different fabrics from different fabric companies, then I will want to make sure I do the pre-shrink, some method of pre-shrinking the fabric. I hope that made sense. Or if it's a fabric that I'm really worried that the dye might bleed it, you know, like reds and purples are notorious for bleeding dye. Sometimes I will pre-wash if I'm using a lot of that fabric into a top. But I've also found that if I don't pre-wash it and I use dye catchers in the washing machine, yeah, that usually eliminates that worry as well. Okay. Woohoo. Exactly. If you're going to have variable shrink rates, yeah, that would be a time you'd want to pre-wash the fabric. But therein lies yet another problem. If you don't pre-wash all of your fabric and you have leftovers, well, then you're going to have to make sure that everything, if you have scraps or leftovers, you don't want to mix pre-shrunk fabric with non-pre-shrunk fabric together, because then when you go to launder it, you're going to have issues. In general. Generally speaking, yeah, you're liable to have some issues then. Oh, wonderful, Janelle. I love making these. Oh my gosh. I have several of these tops I haven't quilted yet. There's so much you can do with it. I also like to quilt them and then cut them up to make quilted handbags. There's a lot of cool stuff you can make with this. Throw pillows. Oh my gosh, the list is endless. And we're coming up on the end of this run. Woohoo! And there's that one now, and I'm just going to take my time Finger press that across so I can trim it with my scissors. I could take this to the cutting mat and trim it. It's too big, I think, for my little one here by the machine. Yeah, it is. So I'm just going to use the scissor method, and then I can always square it up once the quilt top is done on the big cutting table. And remember, these are the edges, so if you're going to bind it, once you get it quilted, you can always square it up and trim after the quilting's done on it as well. Okay, that's 16 strips across. Now we got one more run, and that'll be 32, and that will be the length of the quilt top. Okay. Oh, absolutely, Bernadette. Make beautiful curtains. Tablecloth, oh my gosh. I mean, it's unlimited what you could make. Because what you're doing right here, you're actually making new cloth. Think of it that way. You've taken strips of fabric and you've turned it into a new piece of cloth that you could then cut up for garments, home decor, tote bags, you name it. And you have your own unique fabric that you've created. Okay, this is my last seam for this quilt top. And as you can tell, when I started, all I had, I've completely done this one today. From start to finish. We'll get a good look at this once it's done. I'll open it up and you can get a better look. This one would make beautiful tote bags. Lining up them raw edges. Woohoo. There's my ending point right there. And now I have this to cut, this last fold to cut. Okay, do some finger pressing here. here's the big reveal. Woohoo. Yes, that last run is fast, Bernadette, but check it out. Here is a beautiful finished quilt top, all on the serger. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Let me move it back like this. Here we go. Look how those little squares, I really like having those set into it. That adds quite a bit of time for the construction, to be perfectly honest. But I think it's well worth it. The next one I do on camera, it won't be next week, we'll do something else next Sunday. But I'm going to experiment with different types of inserts to put into these strips for this type of a quilt. Let me go to my other camera and I'll hold it up for you. You can get a much better look at it that way. Hi everybody. Okay, so here we go. Easy peasy. What a beautiful quilt top. Oh my gosh. So, and they're so much fun to, you can make these on a sewing machine also, everybody. I just think it's super fast and easy on a serger. Serger does all the hard work for you. Okay. Woohoo. That was fun. Oh my goodness. Let's see, how long did it take me to make that? I gotta check that out here. Let's see. It started, where do I need to? It took, it wasn't that long, about 2 hours and 15 minutes is all it took. So basically, this type of a quilt top, if I hadn't been talking as much and all that, you can make one of these in 2 hours. Isn't that amazing? It's a 2-hour quilt top. Ooh, you know what else this would do? You could actually make sewing machine covers for your serger or your sewing machine. That would be cool. Another cool use for something like this. And guess what? Once you get it to this stage, then you could put some cool appliques on it as well. And that would be totally cool. So much you can do with it. Okay. So everybody, I already have Saturday and Sunday lives planned, and they're on they're already scheduled all the way through the end of the month. And I might do some more through the week. We'll see how things go. We're super busy in the store right now. Everybody is wanting their machine serviced for the upcoming fall crafting season and all that fun stuff. But yeah, I will see you all soon. If I don't see you before next weekend, I will see you next Friday night. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. It's been a pleasure. I love each and every one of you, and I'll see you soon here at the Sewing Studio. Good night, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your Sunday.